What is up, ninjas? My name is Samrold, and hopefully I look like a priest. I should have gotten a Bible out. So today's topic of discussion, guys, is how to sound like Chami, or how to get the Chami sound. Now, I did make a post recently showing off my outfit and shit, but I made a post asking you guys what kind of videos you wanted, and my favorite suggestion was how to sound like Chami, so I've decided to do the new song Kurupt by Chami and show you guys how to get those nice hits that they get in G House for you, that you guys can involve and get that sound for yourself. Now with these videos, guys, my goal is really not to, have you guys copy them straight out. My goal is to give you guys the idea how to achieve that sound so that you can use it in your own unique way. Maybe you go like, hey, go to the grocery store, you're like, I want a bit of the Martin Garrix sound, which could be milk. Tiesto's vocal chops, maybe, that could be cucumbers. And then you go over to Chami and you want to sound a little badass, so you get a little protein powder or some Marlboro cigarettes, and there you go. You fuse that together and make your own sound. Now, I'm personally a huge fan of the Chami sound. I can listen to it over and over again. Very simple. And today I'm going to show you guys how to make various variations of the song Kurupt that he has and how to get the sounds he has on there. Now, I can't promise that we're going to have the identical sound, but it will come very close to the point where you're going to be like, this is good enough.
3. Crowd control. I'm in control.
Now, the drums in this song are very important, and I think they give the song this nice feel, and I believe they're going to be 909 bass drums, guys. Now, the 909 drum machine is an iconic machine that gave us the sound of house techno of today. It's a very nice drum machine, but it costs around $3,000 and $4,000, and homie ain't about that. The good thing is there's a lot of free samples out there that you can download, and also if you want to support the channel, there is Confessions Revolution Volume 2. For that one, we rented out a 909 drum machine for $200 so that we could sample the shit out of it instead of buying it and being stuck with a $4,000 plastic box. So in his song, Chami uses very 909-ish drums, and he has the 4 on the 4, obviously. He has the clap hitting on the 2 and the 4. And then on the offbeat, it's something very unique. He uses this sort of snare-ish type of sound, which is very tight, to kind of get a better swing instead of opting for the open hi-hat, which tends to make stuff sound too open. This song is close-minded, which means there's not that much high frequencies in it, and that's why it has this nasty, dirty, garage, grimy kind of vibe. So let me teach you how to do the drums, guys, and I'll show you some of the samples that we're going to be using for our version today.
So I stated before, guys, the 909s is really like an essential for house music and techno. However, like I said, you can find a lot of free packs out there that contain it. If you are willing to support the channel, like always, I know a lot of you guys do, and I'm always grateful. The Confessions Revolution Volume 2 pack, which is all G House based, will contain 909 samples for you guys that have been sampled and processed for you guys to use. So what I'm gonna do is just grab a 909 kick. We'll just go at 1. It's 1 for a reason. So it's very simple. We're gonna have the 4 on the 4, obviously, with the kick. Now when it comes to the clap, again, a very 909-ish clap that is very, very thinned out. So we're gonna try and find one. And if a clap tends to be really long, what you can always do to make it sound good, and I'll show you guys, is always use either the fades, or you can also just use the sampler. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's see if we can find this one's a very classic clap that you can hear a lot in house. So let's do that here. I think there was some latency when recording these samples. There we go. Now from here, let's say we want a more of a thinner clap, we can easily just use the fades, aka again, and then move this to the right. So you start to fade it out a bit here. And you can do that, or the other way to do it would be just to easily go here to the bottom left. You're gonna go into this guy, choose this version here. I don't know what to call it in all honesty. And then we're gonna lower this button. And you can see it does that for us pretty good. And now we're just gonna have it on the 2 and 4, which will give us a very nice vibe as always. Now, another thing Chami has in that song are going to be some snares, or this weird sound that just plays on kind of like the offbeat of the clap, we'll say. So what I'm going to do is I'll use a snare for this. You can use various other elements. Again, we're trying to get inspired by Chami, not copy him straight out. But we're going to a very 909. Go with that one there. There we go. And we're just going to, again, get it to sound very tight by using this transient down here and pulling back. There we go. And then we're going to have that hit again here, but give it a double. So there we go, and we're just gonna loop that. And that's gonna be the drums, guys. Now, one last tip I will give you is if you wanna add a bit of kind of swing to the sounds as it is, you can always hit the D of the bottom right, and whenever you see a D, it's, you know, it's good. Something good will always happen when you see a D. And we get the delay feature inside of Ableton, which will help us in, again, just offsetting the claps. And if you watch a lot of tutorials from the big guys and just house guys in general, they never have their claps land right on the beat. They have it land literally like a little bit more forward. So
So as you can see, you can do a lot of cool stuff. Another thing I would have done, and I was a little bit lazy, is added sort of like this reverse sweep into the clap. But you can find a lot of packs, or you can just record the clap with a lot of reverb and make its own sweep. That way it sounds a little bit like you're pushing the crowd towards the clap. You're kind of like, go this way. Sadly, we don't have more to go on the drums in the song because the song, it hasn't been released yet. There's only a few previews on the internet right now, so we can only go based on the drums he had here. But the cool thing about it, again, it's very unique, is that he's not using the same patterns everyone else is, and he's using very fresh sounds. It's a very simple song compared to a lot of the other Confession releases, but I think it's executed properly because at the end of the day, it's gonna make you wanna dance. Now, the sounds of the Kurupt song of TCHAMI are very nasty, very dirty, guys. And I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make them. Now, always, my philosophy when it comes to teaching you guys sound design, it's always to 1, shape the sound, 2, go for wavetables, and then 3, find out what effects the person used.
now making the sound is where it gets a bit interesting, guys. So my thing is always shaping the sound first, knowing what you want to go for. So if we're going for a bass that has a very nice hit, we're going to be using a filter to cover it. And you can tell the sound that they use has a filter because it kind of opens up very fast and you hear sort of like this hit, and then it kind of closes down a bit. So that's what we're going to be doing here. So in envelope 1, what I'm going to do is lower the sustain and give a bit of decay to open this guy up. Let's lower it a bit more. A bit of sustain just in case we hold it down longer. So we still have that note hanging around here. I'm also going to give it a bit of release, as it sounds like the one TCHAMI uses is sort of like an 808 hybrid. What I mean by that is that it has a tail to it. And that's how we're going to get that sound. Obviously mono legato it. And there we go. Now from here, I'm going to close this a bit more. So it's around there. We don't want to open it up all the way. The song itself has a very close sound, so adding anything that will make it sound in your face, it's not a good idea. From here, now I can start to pick my wavetables, and I'm going to opt to go for maybe like a squarish one. So play around with all of it. Okay, and then we're going to go to this guy as well and maybe add another one there that we could find. I'm kind of liking that. From there, we can add a bit of distortion, and this is where it gets a little bit tricky because once you add distortion, you're going to start to see that a lot of the highs start to come in, and that's what we're going to be using a filter at the end of the chain, which is going to be another low pass, and we're going to just be applying the same thing here. Okay, now from here, it's very experimental, just trying to figure out what effects will work well with it. Like the sound of that hyper, so I'm gonna leave it on, and from here maybe an EQ. Now from here I am gonna give it a bit of a hit with this guy here, envelope 3, to both of the oscillators, so we get more of a punch out of it, which you'll see. That's what is pretty much missing, so we'll give it a bit. Now, if you hear the song of TCHAMI's Kurupt, the bass is actually wide. So what I'm going to do is put now 2 voices here. I'm not going to detune that much, but I'm going to have them. Just hear the detunement. Let's lower that down, actually, the detunement. And now I'm going to have to use a dedicated sub to maintain my low end in mono. So that's where we're going to go to right now next. So from here, we go into the sub, guys. And very easy. The sub, I'm not really going to show how to make it. Actually, let's just do it. So we're going to have a sub, obviously direct out here with the analog PD sine. Always use the one that's very harmonic, which is always to the right, because you can actually hear it and feel it. And from there, we're going to be giving, again, another punch to it. Again, you know, this song is very punchy, so we want to have that. Now, the next sound we're making, guys, is going to be a very punchy one. And honestly, it's just going to be the same sound that you made already. You're going to duplicate that. And literally what you're going to do is just shorten it, because we just want to add more punch to it. So we're just going to lower this down, fast decay. And all we want from it is that punch. And finally, the last sound we hear, guys, is a very simple sort of FM-ish type of hit. So we're just going to be using, you know, a sine wave, lower the level on this guy, which is going to influence the sine with FM from B. And we're going to lower that down a bit there. And then we're just going to do that trick. Mono it, legato if you want to add always. And that's going to be it for the sound. Very simple to make, as you guys can see. Okay, so these ones are not going to play together, but we still want to process them together to get kind of like a unified feeling on them. The first thing, obviously, is since we have a sub, we need to get rid of everything below 100 hertz. It's usually a safe bet there. So we're just going to do that, because that's the sub is going to give us that power. Now, a lot of times, too, I've noticed that a lot of G House tends to have more mid-lows than lows itself. It's a very mid-low bass genre because it hits hard. So sometimes you might need to just boost a bit on that area, and maybe a bit of... There we go. And we're going to be done there. Now, I do like to add a hint of reverb when it comes to bass, but you got to be really careful not to get super low bass. Reverb. So you're just going to move it to the center. We want like a very close-minded one. Like not enough, not highs, no lows, just a bit of mids. High, low size, low decay. It gives a lot of atmosphere that's needed. And then the last thing I'm going to add is an OTT, which I can do just because, again, the sub is separated away from the bass. And for sidechain, I'm just going to opt to use a compressor, which is a very easy way to sidechain, which is going to compress the sound as the kick comes in, or lower the volume, as many of you guys would say. And
so as you guys can see, we use Serum to make the sounds for G House, and honestly, they sound fucking great. As long as you know what you're doing, you will be able to get to where you have to, and all it takes is practice, guys. And over time, you're gonna make so many sounds that you might be like, oh, like this guy made this sound. You're like, I made that sound before. I think I remember how. Crowd control. Now, the drop in Kurupt is a very swingy drop, and one of the biggest mistakes I see that people make is that when they make a drop for G House, they tend to stay on the damn beat. What I mean by this is, Mary had a little lamb. It's such a basic rhythm that if you were to play that bass, boop, 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 it wouldn't be catchy, it wouldn't be And the biggest thing I see people do is they always tend to have the bass kind of on beat, and you don't want that. You can kind of shift the bass a bit, try not to make it land right when the kick hits. That will help a lot, especially since the kick is going to have this kind of nice transient to it. You want to make sure that bass hits when the kick is not there, so that that transient punches through like a bitch.
Now, making a drop itself, guys, you have to ask yourself a lot of kind of things on how you're going to approach the drop. For instance, you might want the wub to come in at certain times, or you want it to come in like TCHAMI had it, where it comes in mostly at the end. A lot of people tend to use it in the first, so a more unique way to use it would honestly be to fill in certain gaps that you might have in the bass. So for instance, here on the drop, maybe we could start just with the bass. And let's see. You know, we could do the same pattern that he has in his song. And then we're gonna have that wobble come in right there at the end of there, instead of having it come in where everyone has it comes in. And being unique, guys, is more than just the sounds you have. It's more about like the way you make your drops, the way that you use the sounds differently than everybody else. And then here we're gonna have this little sweet thing he does with the sound where it kind of goes which you can do like so. And let's just kind of have them overlap a bit there. And there we go, back to. You can also use this sound, maybe we can test. Yeah, it doesn't sound that clean. It sounds a bit rushed, I'm not gonna lie, but we'll leave it as so just for the hell of it there. And then you can kind of see, once we add all the layers, it's gonna sound really good. It's just lacking those punch hits that we were talking about there. And the sub as well. Which and as you can see, guys, we have something that sounds really good. Now, we can do various variations to this. Like, instead of having this guy come in, we could have this go here. And we could do sort of cool little patterns. Again, music is about the idea. It's about having fun. So make stuff that seems fun to you. And if it sounds good to you, that's important. However, I will roast your mix down. So I will say that. So for here, we could do some cool stuff. And we can add maybe a couple of variations here and see if that does anything here, like so. Let's try doing it just for fun, you know? That's the key thing there. There we go. And then here, again, you know, just focus on one sound and you could just duplicate it over to the other one since you may. Dun, 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 dun. And then maybe we can have fast hits. Again, it's all about having to just have that repeat afterwards here. And let's see how that sounds like. Duplicate that. And you can kind of see it gives a good sound. Now the reverb is a bit too much, so we're going to increase the size maybe on it just to get it to sound like it's almost there, but you can barely tell it's there. Right now you can kind of hear. And yeah, you can do a lot of stuff there, guys. Like this could easily be another melody where it's like very, I guess, goofy, which would be like. But notice how the drums give it that nice vibe and it just works well together. But hopefully this helps you guys, and hopefully you guys can make this on your own and have sort of like this little template to work off of.
That's gonna be the end of the video, guys. Hopefully this video helped you guys achieving the sound that you want to achieve. Hopefully if you like this sound and you want to use it in, I don't know, big room or trance, then now you can do that. And that's my goal with these videos, guys. Again, good to know how to make the TCHAMI sound, but at the same time try and make something of your own that is fresh. Try and use it in a different way, get inspired from it so that maybe you could be the next TCHAMI. And with that being said, ninjas, you guys have an amazing day. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow me on Instagram like always, guys. I'm trying to get a little bit more presence on there, so any support I can get from you guys will be tremendous. And if you want to get G House sounds, obviously evilsounds.com. We have Confessions Revolution Volume 1, Volume 2, which have been supported by a lot of the Confession guys. I believe most of them are using them as well, so make sure to check it out, and you guys have an amazing day.